Hello, friends. Good evening. This is Leo, and welcome to the post-market report on Friday. So many weird things has happened today. So let's take a look at the profile chart first. And I'm going to show you the spot and the future profile chart for Nifty and Bank Nifty both. And there is a huge difference in the way that the market has functioned today. So if we look at but before that, let's see that what has happened. So market has opened inside the yesterday's valley area, but just above the point of control. It went higher a little bit and then it started selling off. Okay, so this is on the profile. Now, the interesting part is if you look at this profile and in the L period, right, there was a huge sell-off has started and it has broken last swing lows, valley area high, POC and the valley area low, right? And it was attempting to test the 23,600 levels as far as the Nifty futures are concerned. Okay, but if you notice it, in this L period, it is from 23,900 all the way up to 23,700. It's about 200 points. Okay, fall in the Nifty futures. But if you look at the same thing on the Nifty spot, okay, which was something that was interesting because if you look at this, this spot has opened within the yesterday's profile POC. Okay, which is fine. Normally, we don't look at this spot chart for the market profile, right? But one thing that is you've noticed is that it has fallen from 23,800 all the way up to 23,500, which is about 300.4. Okay, so this is something weird. I don't even remember when I have seen this kind of a setup. In the last few years, maybe on during the COVID time, I don't remember. Okay, and a similar setup with Bank Nifty as well. So Bank Nifty has opened above the point of control, couldn't cross the recent swing high, and from there on it fell, right? And if you notice from the L period, it is from 55,100 almost close to 54,600. Okay, which is almost like 500 point fall, right, on the futures. Okay, on the future chart. But if we go back and look at the spot chart, which is interesting, it fell from 54,800 all the way up to 54,200, okay, which is almost like 400 points. Okay, so within the 30 minutes itself, there was a huge dip on the spot compared to the futures. But at the end of the day, when it closed at 54,354 on the spot. But whereas on the futures, it has closed at 54,770, which is still, in my opinion, it's about roughly around 400 point premium. Okay, and that is something that I haven't seen it for a while. And similarly, if you look at it from the Nifty spot to the futures, Nifty futures, it's closed at 23,740, but whereas Nifty spot has closed at 23,608, okay, which is almost like 130 point, which is normally okay, but the way it fell down, right, it recovered back. Okay, so this is something that interesting. I think there was some bit of a panic set in the market for whatever reasons, right? And then it started selling off. Right now, let's go and take a look at the candlestick chart. Okay, so candlestick chart, futures chart, market had a sell-off right at the open. We could see that the prominent POC. Okay, and there was a weakness shown up at around 24,000 level, 24,060. Right, and from there on, market fell. Right, and it recovered and it closed at around 23,740 level. Okay, at this level, right? But there was a huge sell-off and nobody knows what's the reason. But I've seen that a lot of Nifty heavyweights are being sold off. Okay, and similarly, when we look at the Bank Nifty, this was a beautiful chart. Okay, and he had a prominent POC and tested again. Sell-off started from 55,500 all the way up to 54,800 plus. Okay, which is almost like 700, 800 points. One could have captured on the Nifty and Bank Nifty respectively. Okay, and initially when I tweeted this morning, my reading was, when I look at the order flow, profile chart, my reading was this was in a box. Okay, I was expecting the box either to break out on the higher level or to test it and bounce back, but it has tested way too far. Okay, which I didn't really expect that. So I'm in a loss, but I'm just carrying it forward because I know how to manage my positions. Okay. Similarly, in the Bank Nifty, I was expecting this to be taken out, but unfortunately this is not taken out, but this was tested. The recent swing low was tested. So we had to wait and see how the market reacts on Monday. So I think there will be some news. Nobody knows, or I don't know. So let's wait and see how that plays out on Monday. Okay. Now let's go and take a look at the order flow. Okay. Order flow chart, there was a selling started at around 24,060, right? And exactly at around 12 o'clock, this is what I failed to miss. And I was discussing that with the members that were joined the Zoom live today, that I missed to see this part. And then, otherwise, I would have not taken any positions against the directions. But anyways, so this was a continuous sell-off. And, but there was a little bounce back. But let's wait and see what happens on Monday. Okay. And there's a good sell-off, right? Sometimes we are looking at 5-minute chart and we fail to look at 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart might even give you a good, clarity, right, when it comes to the order. Okay. And likewise in Bank Nifty, resistance at the open itself. And then you could see, sellers stepping in at these levels. And you can see this at these levels, right? Min delta is 0, right? No sellers control this bar, but there were passive sellers selling at these levels, right? And after that, market has fallen off pretty badly, right? 800, 700, 800 points fall. Okay, so it's interesting. It was interesting today. So we had to wait and see how the market is going to react on Monday. And I suppose that these levels could be respected. Okay. These levels could be respected, and if not, worst case, can come and test 23,600 on the futures and have an opportunity to bounce back. And likewise in the Bank Nifty, this has been tested. Okay, maybe this gap can be tried to, this gap can be filled, and then there is a possibility that it can move higher. But these are all my reading, it could go wrong, like it went wrong today. So anything going to happen in the market. So just be, cautious about your trading plans. Okay. I hope you like this video. Thank you. Jai Hind.